Welcome back. This segment of our program brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control. When the weather starts to turn, those ladybugs and the box elder bugs and the stink bugs start finding ways into your nice warm house. Don't let them in. It's an easy stop. You just call Southeast Termite and Pest Control. They'll come by and you can take advantage of the fall invader treatment. They just spray around the outside of your house, and it has always worked for me. It keeps those critters out of your home, and that way you don't have to worry about all their little offspring popping up in January and February and March as the weather starts to warm. SoutheastTermite.com to learn more. All right, let's welcome in the next two members of our panel. There's no other show in town that brings you 45 different opinions with over 50 topics in 90 minutes. Right over here, we have Chuck Cavaleris, longtime sports writer in this town, longtime member of our panel. Chuck, thanks for being here.
Great to be here, John.
Next to you, VFL Daniel Hood back with us. Daniel, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. I wanted to throw out, this is a little different segment. We usually do something different here, but I wanted to throw out two topics just to cover them quickly. I'll start over here with Daniel and Chuck. Cedric Tillman, amazingly, has not been missed. I mean, credit Jalen Hyatt, Brew McCoy, the other receivers, Ramel Keaton, everyone else for stepping up. But you've lost one of the best receivers in the country, a Biletnikoff Award candidate, and 2 games against Florida and LSU. Yeah. Really, your offense hasn't missed a beat. Now, he had the tightrope procedure done on his ankle, reportedly. If he's less than 100%, do you try and get him out there for Alabama, the best team you've played so far, the biggest game in years in Knoxville? Or do you protect him and say, let's just save him for the back half of the season? How are you looking at that, Daniel and Chuck?
Go ahead.
Well, I'm going to err on the side of caution, and I'm going to look at what the range of motion is. I'm going to see if there's any swelling after practice. What can he do? But to answer your question, John, if he's less than 100%, I don't think you rush him back.
I think 90%.
90%. No, I mean, I think you just look and see how he feels, and that's what they did last week, right? They were seeing how he does in practice. What are you capable of doing? You don't want to put somebody out there that's not 100%, especially against Alabama.
If he's 90%, I'm saying you might need him out there. Alabama has a really good cornerback in Brian Branch, who got targeted 7 times last week and only gave up 31 yards. But you can bring Tillman back to get the matchup with Brew McCoy against Terry Arnold. Terry Arnold's cornerback on the other side of Alabama got targeted 7 times last week. We gave up 72 yards. So I may bring him back as a decoy, but I don't think I would push him to be my number 1 receiver like he has been this year.
Thoughts? I'll let you guys chime in.
I'm with if he's 90% or better, he's probably going to end up on the field. You start getting away from that, and it's like Chuck said, look at the range of motion, look at the swelling, but Daniel's eye good. I'm just agreeing with you guys all over the place. Daniel's idea is good. Put him out there as a decoy.
Yeah, I would agree with what Daniel said. Yeah.
We did a whole segment last week on players should protect themselves from bad guys like us telling them to play. So ignore last week's segment. Everybody's saying go for it. All right. 90% of the time.
90%.
Let me flip. That's the thing. What can he really do? Yeah. You don't want to put him out there when you haven't needed him. You don't want to put him out there and then have it, that's an injury where you can re-injure it and lose 5-6 weeks.
Well,
so I would be,
the season.
Well, right. Yeah, so I would be very careful with that one. All right, Bob and Jimmy, the question I wanted to ask you, Hendon Hooker took a big shot in the 3rd quarter. I didn't think he looked quite the same after that big shot. His accuracy went a little haywire there for a while. Dylan Sampson credited him for being heady enough to pick up the ball and run with it on that fumble. But Hooker was still in there. 10 minutes to play. They're up 37-13. I'm sitting there thinking, could you get Joe Milton in here? Do you want to protect your guy? They still had a couple of runs where they ran it with Hendon Hooker there in the lake. So I ask you guys, are they doing enough to protect Hendon Hooker, or this offense is Hendon Hooker? You let him go. Where are you guys?
I would protect him a little bit more. If you're not going to put in Milton, which as you're killing the clock, that's a good time to get him on the field, get his playing legs under him a little bit, especially the offense that you were running there at the end. I definitely would tell Hendon Hooker, I don't care what your reads are, you're handing the ball off.
I think the reason Hooker played late was to execute the 4-minute offense, which hasn't been very good, or we haven't seen much of it. And I don't think they thought it was going to take 8:47.
Yeah.
I think Milton would have come in later. Here's what I would do with Hooker, though. Take that situation where if I'm playing Alabama or I'm playing Georgia or I'm playing a really good team, He's going to run it. He's wide open. If I'm playing Akron, if I'm playing Ball State, I'm protecting him. He should not run it maybe 2 or 3 times a game.
Agreed.
That's it.
Right.
So I'm going to protect him against the weaker opponents, but I got to go full speed against the better ones.
If I'm up 37-13, I take the run
Yeah,
game out of
if-
his repertoire.
Yeah, but in that
If-
situation, you almost have to call timeout to take him out, right? Because you kept the ball for 8 minutes, 47 seconds?
Well, I mean, with 10 minutes to go up by 24,
Right,
I don't know that I'd have put him back out there. He took a big hit. He didn't look the same to me. I get the dangers of it because then if there's a fumble, LSU scores, do you put him back in now that you've sat it? So
Right.
I get all that. I'm just asking the question. I was 50-50 on whether or not he should be out there at that point.
I
Go
mean,
ahead.
once again, if you're going to put him out there, no way he's running
Right.
the football.
Do you think
No
they
way.
protect him enough, or should they protect him more, or are you good with it?
No. When you look at, he only had really 8 carries, I think 9 carries, so less than 10% of your offense on that. And when you're out there, I think you need to run it. And I think the value that Jimmy said, getting that 4-minute offense, getting it on film again, seeing if you can execute it, because you almost lost Florida because of that 4-minute offense blow. And so that's going to be huge, especially when you go against this Alabama team next week or Georgia coming up.
All right, we got to catch a break. When we come back, our 3 defensive-minded VFLs, including Daniel here, we'll talk to you about the performance in Tiger Stadium yesterday. What did they like? What did they not like? We'll talk about whatever they want. That's what we're going to do. We'll send it over to the VFLs next. Come on back on the Sports Floor.